More minute. Oh, here we go. We're starting now. Good. We're being live streamed. Welcome, everybody. This is the Subcommittee on Local Government by County Agency. We are, it is Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock, and we have a relatively short agenda. We have 4 bills that are, pretty straightforward and a couple to discuss. So we will, this is the bill order for the agenda. We'll start with House Bill 331, then House Bill 914, followed by House Bill 1182, and then House Bill 1340. And then after we go through that, we'll start in on House Bill 381. And if we have time, we'll move on to discuss House Bill 1312. Anything that we don't finish today, we will take up at our regular meeting on Thursday, along with anything else that is left in the committee that needs to move before crossover. So here we go. Let's start with House Bill 331. Matthew, would you start, just remind us what the bill does?
Certainly. So the subcommittee and the full committee have seen this bill a couple times now, a couple different forms, but the bill declares the intent of the General Assembly to codify provisions of Section 97.15 of Title 47 of the Code of Federal Regulations concerning FCC's preemption of local ordinances that regulate amateur radio station antenna structures. I just want to remind the subcommittee that the language is identical to House Bill 663 of 2021, which received a unanimous favorable vote out of ENT and passed the House on third reader by a vote of 137-0. There are no amendments.
All right. Are there any questions, discussion? All right. Is there a motion? Move favorable?
Move favorable. Oh, sorry, second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. The ayes have it. So that one will be on the voting list tomorrow. House Bill 914, please.
Yes, so I see your message, Brandon. Yes, Rebecca Snyder is supposed to be in the meeting. But so with regard to 914, my apologies. So this bill requires the Board of County Commissioners of Calvert County to award a contract for certain services such as banking and investment services, retirement and pension system management, health insurance, or information technology contracts that require funds for more than one fiscal year as a multi-year contract and allows for a period of up to 20 years, including the initial term and all available options. So currently these contracts are awarded it can be awarded as up to a 20-year contract, but what happens is they're awarded as a 1-year contract with up to 19 single-year options. That has received testimony from the committee is not a common practice for these types of professional contracts. They usually are for longer terms.
Okay. Any questions about that one?
It's a local bill, right?
It is a local bill,
Yes.
but does it affect any other counties?
No, this just affects Calvert County.
Okay, and Calvert County comes to us because they're a commissioner county and they can't enact all their local bills on their own without our support. So is there a motion? Move favorable?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay,
I just want to explain my vote though.
sure,
If I can.
absolutely, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, like, I'm comfortable with this because it's a commissioner county, but I would not be if it was it had a county council and an executive, because that would pull the it would take the power away from a second branch of government. But
Right,
in this case,
Yeah.
it's a commissioner county, so I'm comfortable with it.
yeah, that's right. And that's the only reason it's before us, because if it was a code county or it was a county that has their own charter, they would be following their own local regulations and rules. Just that these commissioner counties are still dependent on the General Assembly. So
Yeah, procurement issues are not listed as one of the powers that have been granted generally to Commissioner counties. So they would need to come to the state.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yes.
That's all right. So all those in favor, we've already taken the vote. It's passed. So that will be on the vote list in the full committee tomorrow as well, I believe. We'll see. House Bill 1182, Matt.
Certainly. So this is an emergency bill for Carroll County that increases by $5,000 the annual compensation for each of the county commissioners in the county, authorizes reimbursement to a Carroll County commissioner for any county-related expense incurred for official duties. Currently, they're granted an allowance for these expenses and would prohibit the Carroll County Board of County Commissioners from offering a group insurance or pension benefit to the county commissioners that are different from similar benefits offered to full-time county employees. This bill would only apply prospectively, and provisions related to salary or compensation take effect at the beginning of the next term of office. The delegation overall supports the bill, and I believe, yes, the cross-file SB 545 was voted favorable with amendments out of the Senate. The amendments simply conform to the House version of the bill. There was a difference in some dates. And the House version had the correct dates, so the Senate is conforming to the House.
And this only affects one county, correct?
Again, it just affects Carroll County.
And they're a commissioner county?
Yes.
Okay. Delegate Terrassa?
Yeah, I guess my concern with this one, and I mean, it is a local bill, but I'm just going to tell you what my concern is. I'm worried that this is taking health insurance away from the commissioners. Like,
I'm not sure. Was there testimony on this bill in the committee about what the thinking was behind that aspect?
Well, so there wasn't much in the way of testimony that I recall from this particular bill hearing. It doesn't take away health insurance. It says they can't have a different form of health insurance than what the county employees have.
do you know if they're full-time? Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to
Sorry?
interrupt. Do you know if they're full-time?
The county commissioners,
Yeah.
that I offhand, I do not know.
So for example, in Howard County, the
Mhm.
reason the council has a different, and it doesn't have a different insurance plan, but it has different benefit, is because the county council is technically part-time. Although I will tell you, as a county council member, I never worked less than 60 to 70 hours a week, but technically part-time. But we were able to get full-time benefits, which frankly is the only right thing to do, given that there's no way I could have worked another job with that. So the problem is we had to have different benefit. The only different benefit was that as part-time employees, we were able to get health insurance and those types of, and retirement, et cetera, as if we were full-time employees, which made sense because we were really working full-time. We just didn't get paid full-time salary.
Maybe we should delay the vote on this and ask the Carroll County government to send somebody to answer questions about this proposal, and also the chair of the Carroll County delegation, that they can fill us in on what the thinking is behind this bill.
At least the insurance part, because I don't have problem with them raising their salaries if that's what they want to do. But I'm concerned that if we start cutting out health benefits, it limits the pool of people who can run for office.
Okay, well, we'll put this off till Thursday, and we'll vote on this on Thursday. Matthew, in the meantime, you can contact the delegation chair, and also if somebody from the county government testified, or there's somebody that can explain to us what where this bill came from and why they're doing it. I mean, this aspect of the bill, obviously the salary is something that has to be done periodically. So.
Right, and how would it impact their insurance ability to get insurance?
Yeah, I mean, if they just put them in the pool with the other county employees, that's one thing, and it might, spread the cost around better, but I don't know.
Yeah,
So-
and that's fine with me. Like if they're just getting the same health insurance as everyone else, but if they're not considered full-time employees, like a lot of counties, now commissioner counties, I'm less familiar with.
Yeah, and I think it may be differ from county to county as well,
Right.
so.
Well, so to that effect, just in terms of the bill, a Carroll County Commissioner may participate in the group insurance program and a defined benefit or defined contribution pension plan offered to a full-time county employee. They may receive, for a group insurance program, a commissioner may receive the same county subsidy provided to a full-time county employee, but is not eligible for any employer matching contribution for a pension plan.
But what you're reading, wouldn't that be abrogated by what we're doing?
No, this is what the bill would do.
Oh, so it preserves their right to get health insurance?
It preserves the right to get health insurance, and they can participate in a pension plan. The only thing that it wouldn't do is they wouldn't be eligible for an employer matching contribution for the pension plan.
Oh. I don't,
They can participate in the pension plan, they get the health insurance, and it would be consistent with the group insurance that full-time county employees receive.
Does that satisfy you, Delegate DeGrasse?
and so they get the same match and the same plan, did you say?
They are not eligible for employer matching contributions for the pension plan.
Right, but for health insurance.
Yes, and let me pull up the text of the bill to verify. I'm actually looking at the fiscal note, which I when I put these, I compare the fiscal note to the bill, and I can tell you that it's accurate. So I just want to find where it says it explicitly in the bill. So on page 2 of the bill, if you look at lines 20 through 27, that outlines that account basically confirms what I had read from the fiscal note.
Okay, so they can still get the insurance, even though regardless of whether they're full-time or part-time, whichever it is.
Yes.
Okay, then I'm satisfied.
Okay, then we can take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Very good.
My apologies. I must have misunderstood the question.
House Bill 1340.
Okay. House Bill 1340. This bill, generally, the goal of this bill is to include commercial tenants in the participation in business improvement districts in Montgomery County. So Montgomery County has its own specific law related to business improvement districts. Specifically, the bill would broaden the definition of members of the district to include commercial tenants, would alter provisions related to the composition of a board of directors of a business improvement district, would establish provisions for the election of owners of non-exempt properties and for commercial tenants to the board of directors, would seek to alter contents of documentation that owners of non-exempt property who seek to establish a district corporation must submit to include a certain statement concerning commercial tenants in the proposed district to the extent reasonably ascertainable, and would alter certain notice provisions, limit the members in a district to whom a district tax may be imposed. The district tax would be imposed to the non-exempt property owners in this case, and would require the county, or if the business improvement district is located in municipality, the municipality to develop certain policies and procedures for evaluating the desirability of continuing the district if requested by the members of the district. And that would include input from the commercial tenants.
I like this bill.
Okay. Happy to answer any questions.
Delegate Prettyman, do you have any questions?
Oh, and sorry, I didn't mean to
You're on-
interrupt, but I would note it applies retroactively. So there's a 1-year time period where current business improvement districts would have to come into compliance with the provisions of this.
Okay, so that's not really retroactive. Yeah.
No
Go ahead.
questions.
No questions, okay? It's
Move approval.
second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you very much. That was the easy part of the meeting. Is Delegate Solomon here yet? Or is he coming? Do you know?
So I apologize. I must have misunderstood. I'm not sure he was invited. I could see quickly if his staff is available to include him.
Yeah, just in case there are questions.
Sure. Let me email his office quickly.
Once you get that email out, then you can start explaining what the bill is and what the amendments do. He already knows that because they're his amendments and it's his bill. Did you send the email yet?
I apologize. I'm not the quickest typer or typist, but I am
Okay.
almost done.
That's all right. Take your
There
time.
we go. Okay. Yes, my apologies. I was unaware that the subcommittee had asked for Delegate Solomon to attend. But I do have Rebecca Snyder here from the Maryland DC Press Association, who worked closely with Delegate Solomon on the amendment for the bill.
Yeah,
So-
I understand that they worked out all and everybody's in agreement, but I wanted to at least if you have him here, if there are any questions for the sponsor. In the meantime, why don't you go through the bill and the amendments and explain what they do?
Certainly. So let me actually, if I may, I can pull up a copy of the reprint with the amendment in it. Oh, I see. The host is disabled. Participant
Also,
screen sharing.
just so you know, I texted Jared, and if we can send him the link, or if you can, I guess I can text him the link.
So I actually sent it to his house email address just a minute ago.
Okay.
He has access to that.
All right, I will text him the link.
Thank you very much.
But anyway, so the bill.
Mr. Nibber, who's in here now, is he part of this discussion? Or is that a different bill?
Well, I believe Mako did testify on this bill. No, sorry, they would not have because it's a municipality only bill. There is another bill, HB 1312, that Mako was testifying on or had testified
Oh, okay. Well, we'll just, okay, there he is. And it looks like Delegate Weibel has joined us too. That's great. Welcome, everybody. Delegate Weibel, are you there?
Yes,
I just
sorry.
want to, yeah, I'll fill you in. We've already voted on all the easy, non-controversial, no amendment local bills.
Yeah, I looked at the list. They look pretty non-controversial.
So that we've already voted on those four bills, 331, 914, 1182, and 1340 for your information.
Okay,
We're just beginning the discussion on House Bill 381, and Delegate Solomon is on the line, and so is Rebecca Snyder from the Maryland, Delaware, DC Press Association. And understand that the amendments they've worked out have satisfied both sides on this issue. And I'm just asking Matthew to explain the bill and what the amendments do now.
all right. So he's going to explain what 381 is?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks.
So in House Bill 381, the bill would modify the manner in which a chief executive officer of a municipality may deliver charter amendment notices by authorizing delivery of a copy of a fair summary of the proposal by hand or mail once to every residence in the municipality. The fair summary of the proposed charter amendment may be included in a newsletter or other regular municipal publication. So there is an amendment that Delegate Solomon had worked on with the Press Association. And generally, the amendment does three things. It would first portion of it is technical. The second portion of the amendment would require the municipality to publish the fair summary of the proposed amendment in a newspaper of general circulation in the municipality at least once, if the municipality elects to provide notice in the manner outlined in this bill. Would clarify the delivery of the fair summary of a proposed charter amendment via a newsletter to only allow a printed newsletter to be used, and would establish record-keeping requirements if notice of a proposed charter amendment is provided in accordance with this act.
Okay, is that it?
That's it. That's what the amendment would do overall.
Okay, I'm going to open up for discussion. Or would you rather have, well, let me ask Delegate Solomon and Rebecca Snyder to just have their say about it, and then we'll ask questions if there are any left. So Delegate Solomon.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for your work with me on this. Appreciate the committee's time as well. Yeah, I mean, I think Matt really hit the nose on the head. So, we think we struck a pretty good balance. We wanted to make sure that we were respecting the disclosure piece of the publication. So prior to or without this bill, a municipality would be responsible for publishing it 4 times. And I think you all remember from the hearing that's, kind of an imposition on some of the particularly smaller municipalities' budgets. And so we scaled it down to 1. And if they choose to qualify for 1, they then have to either hand deliver the amendment summary or publish it in a newsletter that is printed, or whatever other general publication, as long as it is printed, that then is delivered to every home. So you not only get sort of the benefit of the disclosure of it still being in a paper of general circulation and record, but you also get the the individual touch that we don't have prior. We wouldn't have prior to this bill. And then, we wanted to make sure, obviously, that if it is hand delivered or mailed, that there is a record that's happened. So the amendment specifies that, the town manager, whoever it is, must maintain a record, a receipt of the mailing, as well as, the documents that were mailed, and they must be available for public, for public consumption if people want to come in and verify that that's what happened. So I think we struck a good balance here that keeps intact the original principle of the law. Just again, appreciate everybody's indulgence and help on this one.
Okay, Ms. Snyder, would you like to speak?
Absolutely. Thank you, Delegate Solomon, for understanding our position on this. And thank you to the committee for reviewing this. This is an agreed upon set of amendments. It preserves the newspaper notice and their associated websites, and also provides those checks and balances that we feel are so important when you're dealing with things of great import like charter amendments. So it has our agreement.
Okay, are there any questions from committee members?
So there's no opposition at all at this point?
I'm sorry.
There's
Delegate
no
Weigel,
opposition at all?
the opposition, I believe, to this, I don't think there's any opposition left. Do you know?
That's correct. So the only opposition testimony that came in was the Maryland, DC, Delaware Press Association, and they've of course worked with the sponsor to come to a consensus amendment.
Okay,
Okay, thanks.
Delegate Terrassa?
Yeah, the amendments sound good, but now I'm confused about what the bill does. So I'm sorry to ask this at this point, but could you just tell me really quickly what?
If I understand it correctly, and you correct me if I'm mistaken, my understanding is that instead of this all started with Washington Post charging 10 times as much as anybody else for these kind of ads. And this would, instead of having to run it 4 times, they would only have to run it in a newspaper 1 time if they send it out in a printed form, either in the town newsletter, which is printed, or as a separate mailing or delivery to all the homes in the town. And they keep a written record that can be looked at by the public.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the town
That's-
newsletter would have to be delivered to something that's delivered to everyone?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm satisfied
Yep,
with that. It
to
sounds
every
good.
residence in the
and it has to be
municipality.
on paper rather than electronic.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All those in favor of the amendments, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to the amendments? Delegate Weigel, can't hear you.
We may have lost him,
Maybe.
unless
Okay,
he
well,
suddenly wound up in his office still.
Yeah, there he
Wait,
is.
there he is.
Do you
No,
support
I'm
the
fine with
amendment, Delegate
everything.
Weigel?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. The amendments passed. The bill is before us as amended. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there- Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. Okay, the ayes have it. The bill as amended passes. It will be on the voting list for the full committee.
Thank
coming
you,
up
Madam.
soon. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Well, we have one more bill that we can discuss and maybe vote on. I don't know if we can vote on this week. This might take a little more discussion. 1312.
Okay.
Matt, go ahead and explain it.
Absolutely. So this bill would authorize the Resilient Maryland Revolving Loan Fund within the Department of Emergency Management to make loans so that to issue funds or to issue low or no interest loans to local governments for the purpose of offering loan funds to private property owners for hazard mitigation projects. Local government providing the loans to the private property owners would, under the amended bill, would not have to establish a specified graduated loan forgiveness program, but would be authorized to establish a loan forgiveness program. However, if the program were established, there's a certain graduated system of forgiveness that would need to be used. So I think it's best probably to go to the amendment. The amendment is I'm working off of the Senate sponsors amended version. The House sponsor has requested that an amendment be added that would conform to the Senate bill if the Senate bill were to be amended. So basically, the House sponsor wants to put in the Senate sponsor's amendment for the House bill. I still am not able to share my screen. Brandon, I'm not sure if there's a way to enable that. So it might be easiest for me to put that up on the
So that Matt
screen.
can share the screen. Brandon, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm trying to let Matt share his screen. I think if
Okay.
I can make him a co-host, that should do it.
Okay.
Promise not to abuse the power. There we go. Thank you very much, Brandon. Okay, can everybody see, oh, not yet. Can everybody see the PDF document?
Now I
Now,
can.
yep.
Okay, great. So yes, this would be, obviously this is the Senate version. A House amendment would be done in this form. The amendment would strike the involvement of the Department of Housing and Community Development from the bill. And the Department of Housing and Community Development in the bill as drafted appear to simply be acting as a pass-through entity. This would allow the, and I apologize, I'm drawing a blank on the department. I believe it's the Maryland Department of Emergency Management. Yes, MDEM would be issuing the loans under the amended bill. Would authorize funds to be used for the administration and management of the Maryland Revolving Loan, Resilient Maryland Revolving Loan Fund. Would specify that private funds received by the Resilient Maryland Revolving Loan Fund for the purpose of hazard mitigation projects for a building shall be used only for this purpose, and would make the loan forgiveness program, as I mentioned before, an optional aspect that the counties could, or sorry, local governments could adopt. Under the bill as drafted, the local governments would be required to implement these forgiveness programs.
So can I ask a question about that loan part, the loan
Sure.
forgiveness part? Is it,
Yeah, sure.
Madam
Go
Chair?
ahead, Jen. Go ahead.
So, the fund is loaning it to the private party, and the local government can decide whether to forgive the loan.
No, so the fund would make loans to the local government, who then could administer the loans to private parties. And then the local government would be forgiving the loan, but obviously now it has a loan that's outstanding that it would have to pay back into the fund.
Oh, and before they had to forgive the loan, but
Be-
above
before-
it's not, so I'm sorry. go
Before
ahead.
they had to establish a loan forgiveness program subject to this graduated standard here.
Okay, and then above though, it looked like the money could go directly to the private party, not through the local government, like in the part above.
I apologize, is there a particular line you were referencing?
Wherever
there?
we were just looking, whatever you showed where you took out DHCD.
I see.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes,
Oh, so it's just,
it's removing DHCD as an entity that the fund may be used to make a loan to.
But if
Because
it
now
goes- okay, go ahead.
because now DHCD wouldn't have any involvement, they wouldn't act as a pass-through entity in the bill.
Is the nonprofit a pass-through? So if it went to the nonprofit, who would be the loan forgiveness? Like who would owe the loan back?
I mean, it would, if a loan was made to the nonprofit entity, then the nonprofit would be paying back the loan.
Okay.
Whoever's the
I
recipient of
think
the
I get it.
loan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, this makes sense.
All right. Delegate Wylie.
Yeah, so define hazard mitigation.
Hazard mitigation project.
Yeah, what is it exactly? What all qualifies?
So I would reference page 2 of the bill, lines 16 through 23. I believe the only time the hazard mitigation project language, as far as I've seen, specifically for buildings, is included here. And this language on lines 20 through 23 begins to suss out what a hazard mitigation project is. It would include, well, for private property owners, may include wind retrofits of flood mitigation, elevation, flood proofing. The bill does amend the fire retrofit mitigation to clarify that it would be wildland fire retrofit mitigation and earthquake retrofit mitigation.
So these are more environmental hazards. We're not talking about asbestos removal and stuff like that.
Correct. These, and in fact, I believe that's the intent of the addition of wildland with regard to the fire retrofit mitigation.
All right, and I wasn't clear on when the loan can be forgiven.
So under the amended bill, it would only be if the local government establishes, I apologize, keep scrolling, but if the local government establishes the loan forgiveness, a graduated loan forgiveness program for private property owners.
So then who's responsible for picking up that tab, the state or the local government?
In this case, and this was part of Mako's testimony, it would be the local government if the loan was forgiven.
Where
So
does
the local
money-
government would have to repay the fund.
Yes, otherwise there'd be a risk of the fund going
Right,
insolvent,
it
especially
being
if it was
depleted.
yeah.
Correct. So what's the fiscal note on this then with the amendments?
Let me pull that up.
The fiscal note wouldn't reflect the amendments yet, would it?
No, the fiscal note wouldn't reflect the amendments yet. It's expected even at the time, even before the forgiveness portion, that the bill would not materially affect municipal expenditures. Oh, I apologize. I am on HB 381. That is my mistake.
This is the Senate bill number, right? The
Well,
for 1321, yeah, 1312.
1321. Yes.
1312.
So general fund administrative expenditures would increase by these amounts throughout. So almost $200,000 in FY 2023.
That's the state effect.
Yes, the state effect.
How much was that?
In fiscal year 2023, it'd be in a general fund expenditure of $184,800 and would continue to increase. These are for the general fund administrative expenditures. But the thing to keep in mind is administrative costs in the bill as amended would be an eligible, the funds in the Resilient Maryland Revolving Loan Fund could be used for the administrative expenses in the bill as amended. So I believe this is referencing costs to administer it. Those costs would then fall on the available dollars in the fund, which some of that would be federal dollars, as I understand it. Others would be.
So the actual money for the fund is coming from federal dollars?
In part, yes.
And in part from state
Well,
dollars?
I believe there's the ability for the state to invest in the fund if it would like. Let me just bring up these sources.
And private, right?
And private investment, yes. There is a private investment component that can be put in, but the private funds are, certain private funds would only be eligible for use for the mitigation projects for buildings.
Right, but I'm trying to figure out the source of the fund for the government side of it. It's federal mainly?
Sure, I'm just pulling up. Okay, so the fund consists of money, and this is existing law, money appropriated in the state budget to the fund, investment and interest earnings of the fund, repayments of principal and interest from loans made from the fund, money received from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and any other money from any other source.
Okay.
So we are adding the ability to receive, part of the bill is adding the ability to receive money from FEMA as a source of funds for this fund.
Okay. All right.
And that money can be used for administration as well, I believe, a portion of it. So that language about using a portion of the fund for administrative expenses was not in the bill as drafted. So it's possible that the fiscal note would then go down to, there wouldn't be a state fiscal effect.
Okay. Do you have any more questions, Delegate Weibel?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
All right. Anybody else have questions? I'm going to recognize the representative from MACO, DePaul Nibber, just so he can, have you looked at these amendments, and how does MACO feel about them?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. So MACO has had a chance to look at these amendments, and we're actually very supportive of them. If you'll note in our testimony, we had one other sort of issue with the language of the bill, in that it seemed like, with MDEM being the primary administrative body overseeing this program, that there might be the possibility of MDEM shifting the entire program onto the hands of locals. And so we wanted to clarify that a local government's essentially a local government would have to opt into the program in order to become an administrator. And so we had two amendments that were included in our testimony, just clarifying that. And in speaking to the bill sponsor on the Senate side, it seemed like that was the intent to begin with. But we just wanted to be absolutely sure in that regard.
Mm-hmm. So the fact that the bill has been made enabling and not a mandate, does that help you?
So there's the language that would be included in the amendments that say that a local government if they choose to forgive a loan, may opt to do so. But there's other portions, it's essentially silent on whether or not a local government has discretion over whether they choose to be a loan administrator to begin with. And that's the point of clarity that we wanted to see within the bill. And so our testimony essentially says, let me pull it up, on page 2, line 8, after governments, inserting something that says upon a local governing body's request. And then again on page 2, after line 17, again after governments, it's saying upon a local governing body's request.
Why would they wouldn't lend you money without you asking for it, would they?
Well, the money isn't loaned to us, it's loaned to private property owners.
It says make loan funds to local governments for the purpose of local governments offering a loan fund
Right.
to private property. So there's a step in between.
Yeah, so it looks like DHCD has the discretion in this particular situation as opposed to the local government.
Are we taking the Department of Housing and Community Development out of this bill altogether, Matt?
Yes,
a
and
mistake?
I apologize. I don't have a version of the bill from the House with the House information. So
Okay.
right now, what it would be is department would reference the Maryland Department of Emergency Management.
Okay. So, and what's
So
the
with-
status of the Senate bill? Where is it in the process?
Let me pull that up. I did look this up. It changes regularly at this point of the year. It would appear that there's been no action yet.
So it hasn't moved out of committee yet in the Senate.
Right. Again, to clarify, the amendment is what the Senate sponsor is requesting be added to the bill, and the House sponsor has requested an identical amendment for the House bill.
All right. Well, I think.
Sorry.
Actually, I think that we could probably delay voting on this till we know for certain what the language is, what happens to the Senate bill, or at least what's likely to happen to the Senate bill. And have you been working with the Senate sponsor, DePaul Niver?
Yes. We've spoken to Senator Hester, and actually for the bill that was introduced last year, creating this fund, we were actually very supportive. And so, the language that was introduced, we've been apprised of every step of the way, including these amendments. And so we're thankful for Senator Hester's involvement here and including us in that. So, but we'll continue those talks, and
this will be voted on Thursday then. So, if you have anything to iron out with the sponsor, the co-sponsor, the Senate sponsor or the House sponsor, it should be done before we meet on Thursday. If there's any other amendments that, everybody agrees to, we can go forward with that. But at this point, I think we can't really vote on this till we have the actual bill and amendments before us. So whatever we have on Thursday that's what we're going to take up, and we'll see how that goes. All right. That ends our agenda, and I have a 5 o'clock meeting that I have to go to. So thank you everyone for taking the time today out of the normal course of time. It's crossover week, so there's a lot to be done. But thank you everybody for participating, and we'll meet again on Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.